All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just say
Haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
it's sleazy real estate guys. But all right, so another episode of the EP podcast here. I have a very good longtime friend that I haven't seen in so many years now. He now goes by the name of Washington, and he's here. He's here to tell us a little bit about his story, where he came from, and as we were saying earlier, his origin story.
Yes.
So, Washington, sir,
Yes,
thank you so much
sir.
for being here.
Of course.
It has
nice to
been
meet you.
so long.
Again.
How has it been with you?
It's been good. It's been good. You know, life is a journey, so to speak.
Yeah, you're out in New York
know.
these days, aren't you?
Yes, New York, Delaware, small beginnings in New York, living life. But yeah.
Let's start there.
Yes.
So, Delaware. You
Yes.
started in Delaware. We know each other through high school, right? So, let's talk. Let's take it back. Let's wind back the clock to those days. What were those days like over in high school?
High school was good. I mean, I was one of those, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the MTV show In-Betweeners, but
Okay.
I definitely was an in-betweener. I was cool with the popular kids, the athletic kids, the nerdy kids. Definitely flew under the radar a little bit, but, you know, I got my superlative. I definitely stood out and, like, made an impression. High school was good. High school was a good time. I definitely gave myself a bit too much. I put myself a little bit too much into the books as opposed to the social life, I would so speak. But yeah, I mean, high school was a great time. Great development time.
Do you think that there was some challenges with that because you were too into the books, or that something came about that, or
No, I just think
any reason you say that?
No, I just think my GPA was like high, and I like was pressured. I was top. I graduated top 10.
Oh snap! Okay,
And you know, like, I could have enjoyed myself maybe a little more.
okay.
Maybe had a few more experiences that most people have in high school.
I always hear that's a challenge where you're so dedicated into the books is that you got to make some risk in it, like one way or another, because typically you're either while you're typically studying late night for something, there's also the other end of the spectrum where people are out partying and stuff like that. And you may miss out on a little bit on the social aspect of being young. But hey, man, for what it's worth, man, I mean, look at you. You're looking great. So you were here in high school and you also did college.
Yes.
How was college here in Delaware?
I liked college. I mean, I'm not one to say that you need to go to college.
Okay.
I've experienced that myself. But I think college is a developmental time where you need to make certain choices. And thankfully, I was able to make those choices. That's how I, like, discovered my passion for music. Some people, like, don't explore their things. They're just in the books, kind of like I was in high school. But I learned that, you know, I need to expand my horizons in college. That was...
And then now looking back to after going through high school and college, what can you tell me is something that you could tell yourself you could go back again when one, you were in high school, one, and then two, when you were in college? What's something you would look back and tell yourself at that point in time?
In high school first?
Yeah.
In high school, I would go back. I would say maybe be on a sports team earlier, because I know you and I were on the wrestling team together for a period of time. I wish I did that earlier, because that was a self-confidence booster. I really enjoyed that, and I was naturally good at it. That was something that showed me, like, abilities that I didn't know I had, like kind of testing the waters, which, again, like when I went to college and like tested the waters, I would maybe be more prone to doing it earlier, and that's kind of what I would change.
For sure. So just be more inclusive while you're in high school.
Yeah.
And what would you tell yourself with college?
In college, you know, I did all that I kind of wanted to do in college. Like, I figured out how to balance the schoolwork, the social life, the artistry, the early beginnings there. So honestly, if I were to redo college again, I might just maybe dive into drop shipping a bit earlier, start selling merchandise a little earlier.
Okay.
But yeah.
What
Entrepreneurial endeavors.
to someone that's in college right now,
Yeah.
and it's facing the current challenges of trying to balance all those things, what are some headers you give? If you could tell them three things, like what helped you that you applied in your schedule that could potentially help them?
Three things to improve.
Give me one, two, or three, whatever worked for Washington
I would
himself.
just say expand your horizons. Like, when you're a freshman, they say, like, your parents will tell you, meet these people, like, when you move in, like go to everybody's room, say hi, introduce yourself. There's certain people that I would just follow up with and not ask for anything. That is the key, I think, to everything is like human relationships. I think if you don't ask for anything, people will give you all you need.
Wow. Okay. So, and
that's fire.
You were you are, and I remember specifically just watching through your social platforms that you were had a lot of entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we dive into those a little bit?
No, we can.
So how did that even happen? How did that even happen?
I've always kind of been a bit entrepreneurial. I think it all started with in college. I did write a book, and I taught myself I was capable of going from inception to reality with something and putting it on the marketplace and people actually seeing value in it and buying it, people who I've never met. So once I got a taste of that, I kind of tried to dabble in a few other things. Some things I was more passionate about than others, but it's an ever-going journey, and that's kind of like Washington is an entity that I came up with that I think is cool, that I think is valuable to other people in some way, shape, or form. So, there's a bunch of little businesses I've kind of conceived.
Well, would you like to share what some of them were? There's
a few. Yeah. I mean, do you recall?
I recall one very specific, but it's like, I don't know. It was like very briefly. I saw you marketing for a baby company. Like, was it specific baby clothing? Was it?
It was baby products.
Okay.
It was called Baby Life Co.
Okay.
That's
good. I like that. I like that. Baby Life Co.
It's kind of fire, but Baby Life, yes. So Baby Life Co. was like a company. It was selling products, kind of like not necessarily drop shipping, but we did have a supplier when I first moved out to New York. I was partnered with my girlfriend at the time. And we were, selling baby products. A few people bought things, but then it was wild. Like, there was this person who was like a hater saying that they bought something and their child choked on it and they're going to sue. And I was like, this person never ordered this product. Like, people are wild out here. They will come up with the most. Yeah, I'm telling you, there are some wild people out here.
Do you think it was like a competitor just trying to
it's
get
just
you out of the market?
Just try and get the negative reviews. Like, people will do what they want to do.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
Wow. That's so why even a baby like product line?
Well, that's the thing is that
walk me through that.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Uh-huh.
I think that the goal was to make money at the time. So it was, everybody likes babies, everybody likes dogs. Which industry we prefer to be in?
Okay.
Now, a lot of people in my family were having children at the time. So I guess it kind of was an easier selling point, and you can kind of like strollers are a high ticket item.
For sure.
So that was kind of the route we took.
That's awesome, man. Jeez. And so looking back at it now, like what was your favorite moment in doing that?
I mean, we tried to market it by taking like uploading photos of babies from Unsplash. I don't know if you're familiar with Unsplash.com.
Is that like royalty free images?
Free, high quality images.
Okay.
Yeah. And we got like a consultant to look at, and they're like, you're selling portraits of children. You're not necessarily selling products.
Okay.
It was like, so there's interesting misconceptions and things I definitely learned from it. I think it was fun. I think getting in a situation where your brand, like Washington's brand, is different from a baby company's brand, is different from, let's say Nike's brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think being able to put on certain hats and be in different thought processes to sell to certain niches is very interesting. And that's why I definitely learned is like the niches.
So from baby product company
yes,
to a music artist.
That's a hard transition there. It took a few years, but
I wish I could make up a smooth transition for that, but I just can't. So can you please help me build that bridge on how you got there?
Well, the music stuff I had started previously. I started that in college. I discovered I had a passion for music. And like I told you off camera, is I believe that, everybody should follow their passions because that's kind of your purpose. And whether I make money or not make money, I will be satisfied. Because if I sell my soul, right, and I'm making a bunch of money doing things that are not me, then I will be depressed no matter how much money I have. So my idea was I found out I had this passion, and I treat artistry kind of like a day job because I'm like, you never go to work and say, okay, today's going to be the day I get rich. You go to work and you're like, today is a day where I'm wearing this skill, then this skill, and this skill. And then eventually, in hindsight, you're like, oh, wow, that was what I needed, you know? So that's kind of how I treat artistry. And it's something I have an unlimited supply of, so I can keep up with it, versus the baby thing, which will fall off eventually because I'm just not in it. My head's just not in it.
So from it becoming an idea, so why Washington? Where did the name Washington come from?
Okay, so Washington, some people call me Washington just because I have like gray hairs.
Okay.
That's how it first started out. Little Danny Phantom.
Okay, Danny Phantom.
Little Danny Phantom.
Classic.
But yeah, that's how Washington started. I'm from Delaware, so I do want to put out a body of work called like Washington Crossing the Delaware. That is a goal of mine, with that type of cover art. And the money sign is kind of a way to differentiate myself in the marketplace, as well as I believe in the law of attraction. So having a money sign and constantly seeing it in my subconscious, I believe will continue to put me towards that.
That's awesome. And so walk me through the through from the origin of Washington in college to where we are now. What time frame has it been now? How many years?
I mean, college, I was 21 and I was like just recording in the studio. Like we talked about, I had a producer friend who you've known, and people.
Are we okay to shout him out?
Yeah, Dre Flowers.
My
Without him,
guy.
I would not be pursuing music.
Yeah,
so
man.
I owe a lot to him.
Dre is such a sweet guy, man.
Yeah.
Dre's such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. It's okay. So walk us through that.
Yeah, because in the beginnings, like there was times when I couldn't rap on beat. I sounded horrible. I didn't want to do another take, and like he was in there constantly pushing me to be better, and you know I can't thank him enough for that. But what was the question?
No. So you're walking through your experience. So from the beginning of
Yeah,
college,
yeah.
You met Dre. He inspired you
Yes.
to get some talent in you that you
Yes.
didn't discover yet.
For
So it's
sure,
been
for sure.
from college to now. So it's 21. And how many years has it been now?
It's been like 5 years.
5 years.
5
Okay.
years, yeah.
So now you went from doing it in Delaware, and now you're doing it while you live in New York.
Yes.
So walk us, because music in Delaware, I imagine, is a whole lot different than music in New York. So what has happened with Washington in New York now?
So I've done a bunch of collaborations with Dre early on. However, you know, at some point I did move to New York, and I realized that a lot of people create things, but they don't put it out there, which is something I can never live with, the possibility that like this could be a hit song that I'm sitting on, and because of my own ego or, you know, self-consciousness, I'm never going to put into the world. So I was like, I'm just going to start uploading this stuff. I'm going to create my own visualizer animations. I'm going to start doing these things. And then when I moved out to New York, I'd done a few shows. I've done a few collaborations. And lately, more recently, I created an album in 2021, and then I created like a small EP in the summer. And then, you know, Rain Check, which is arguably like my favorite. Like I have the thing about that song is, I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yes,
but
of course.
Literally, I feel like I didn't record that.
Really? It's one of those things. Like
It's one of those things
you
where it's
listen to,
like-
is that me?
You open the door and God just took the wheel. It's like crazy. I'm just
Dude,
like,
you hear about artists having these
know.
moments.
Yeah,
Now,
it was like that.
You hear about it, but then
Yeah.
you're experiencing it. Walk me through that.
I think at some point what's that saying? It's like preparation meets.
Oh, the saying
It's like
that
that.
was
Yes.
is it luck is when preparation
meets opportunity.
meets
right?
opportunity, right?
That's how it
Wow.
felt to me.
Wow. Okay. Isn't that from the book Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers? I think
Yeah,
that's
a
where
good
it's
book.
from.
Yeah, I read that at my job in Delaware. I was working at like a gym.
Hell
Very
yeah.
interesting.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So and
TBT.
then you mentioned doing your first show. What was that like? Were you nervous? How did you prepare for it?
first
What was that
show.
experience was like?
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous. My first show, I kind of folded a little bit just because I drank a little bit to not be nervous.
Okay.
And then I missed a couple of words.
Okay.
Thank God I have like a playback.
Yeah.
Raven, you went to that show. Yeah.
The Queen here in
And the
Delaware?
thing is, yeah, there was a
Hell yeah.
performance and there was judges, and they just didn't understand. Like the judges were not necessarily like old heads, but like they wanted like an MC type of artist, and that's not who I try to be. Like
Right.
my lane, like if I can elaborate on it, will probably
For
be
sure.
like future-ish,
Okay.
but also like lyrical. Like my type of beats, I would say, are more trap centric.
Okay.
Which they wouldn't understand. Like I had this whole song called Smitty Werbin Yegerman Jensen
Okay.
early on.
Is that one?
Yes, you know the SpongeBob character.
I don't. Do you know?
Yeah, he was number one. That was one of my first like bigger songs, but it was like a meme rap lane, and they just completely did not understand it. And the judgments of that were just like horrible.
Jeez. So
and that that can like really affect me early on, but I was like, they just don't get it. That's what my thought process was in the beginning. And then more later I did like somebody's album release party, and I've gotten better consistently for sure.
So from your first show to your most recent show, how different has that been? Where do you stand in your confidence now from then? And walk us through, put us in your shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do not drink before a performance.
Okay.
Because I one time missed a couple lyrics, and thankfully I have a background track playing, but my understanding changed of what I should be doing, and I don't do that anymore. So when I'm recording, when I'm performing, I mean, I try to have more of an engagement with an audience. It's not necessarily just like listening to everything, because I'm not necessarily a vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
So, my last show was somewhere in New Jersey. It was super lit. They had light show. I did rain check, but I also had like a performance right before that where I did a song. Oh no, I did rain check, and it was very odd because it was like people who want street music, let's say. And there's only two types of hip hop audiences. It's like there's the people who turn up when they know you, and it's like a mosh pit, and then the people who are super high and they just like bob their heads.
Yeah.
And I was doing rain check, and people were just doing this, and I was like, do they like this? Do they actually like this? And I was like, it was so odd because rain check is like a turned up song, and I like, had the umbrella, like I have it as a prop, and it's like I feel so stupid in my mind, but I'm like, this is what I chose, so I'm just going to continue pursuing it.
That's awesome. So
yeah,
how do you feel overall as an artist, Estate, looking back on everything you have done so far, the shows, the songs? Because here's what I will say, and I remember DMing you about this. I remember you posting on your notes on your iPhone. You had scheduled releases. Like it wasn't the year wasn't even starting yet, and you stuck to them. And I saw, and if there's anything you could appreciate of someone, is their willingness to stay consistent to something they said out.
Exactly.
And I remember first seeing it, I'm like, okay, I like that he's putting one out there, right? Because it kind of forms some sort of like accountability.
Yes.
But you just kept checking them off. You kept checking them off. You kept checking them off. So, how do you feel now as an artist?
Well, that's the thing, is that like it's all about consistency. Like I said, is treating the artistry as if it was a day job. I can't just be like, oh, I have writer's block, or I need to sleep on it, or I need to wait for creativity to strike me. Like, no, I think that when you start something, eventually the ideas will come, and like I'll have an idea and I have a release date, and it needs to be on a Friday because I know how the industry works in the entertainment industry. And pre-schedule it. I pretty much know how to do all of those things. I just need to hold myself accountable. And I realized when I got like my first job in New York that everything that's a business is just something that's trackable. I can't be like creativity is this free-forming thing that is like magic. I need to kind of dumb it down and be like, here's my schedule, and I need to produce.
Yeah, so that's what
mentality.
The entrepreneur hat comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because there's also the creativity, as you said, of an artist, but also the biz dev part of things, right?
Yes.
So that's very interesting. So how do you keep yourself accountable to these things other than just putting it out to the world? Do you have like friends that support you in this kind of thing? Like is there someone in particular that always like tells you Washington, you killing it, all that stuff? Can you walk us a little bit like that?
I mean, there's a few people, but most of the thing is it's not really my audience. Like if we're talking like people on Instagram or people that know me, people will like watch you behind closed doors, but not necessarily be like, keep going. I mean, some people were excited about the Rain Check music video, but like
really good.
They don't realize that like last year I put out 15 songs. Like most people are not checking for stuff like that.
Right.
And, I got my Spotify Wrapped, and it was like talking about how there's 150 something people who I'm their top 5 artists, and just thinking to myself, like, it's bigger than me. Like, it's not about Washington, really. It's about creating something that is for somebody that, maybe that person I didn't have. And that's kind of what it all comes down to.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So walk us through your most recent project. How did it come about?
Yeah.
What has been your favorite, your least moment about it? How walk us through it.
My most recent project I put out in the summer, it was called 15 Minutes of Fame. I want it to be literal. It is literally 15 minutes, so it's a very short listen. It's like
Really?
6 songs. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's like 2 or 3 standout songs on there, so like half the project is like pretty solid. It's definitely like a summer type of vibe, but ever since then I've had a few singles. I did a song called Budget, Nobody Noticed, which I think is a very emotional song. I actually really like that song. It was
really an emotional song. Okay.
Yeah,
Can we
you might
unpack
need
it
to
a little
hear it.
bit?
Huh?
Can we unpack it a little bit?
The hook,
How did it come about?
this is interesting. So basically, my lease ended in November, right? In New York. I didn't know where I was gonna be living at the time. And my roommate had moved out, so literally the landlord cut the power and the water for 2 days before I fully moved out. I was contacting him. I was like, I'm still here. I need to get everything to the storage. Like, can you turn on the power and the water, please?
Yeah.
Wow. And you have like, I still have my laptop and I recorded Nobody Noticed in like a closet with no power and no water.
Wow.
So you gotta hear the song, but the song is, the hook is about something like, I was popping pills and nobody noticed. Gun safety was off and nobody noticed. And it's kind of like talking about how, my first job in New York, at some point I was taking medications that were not prescribed on an empty stomach, and I felt like a zombie, and I felt like I was making not much money, and I was in that mind state where it's like, people don't actually notice. People don't actually talk about these types of mental health like things. And even when they inquire, I don't tell them. So it's like, it's just like a thing that I found was very relatable. And I think it would help other people. So I did it, essentially.
So
sorry for that pivot.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Can we talk about that a little bit more?
No, I'm good with it.
So, Kate, please, can you take the lead on the whole mental health topic? I mean,
yeah.
Please walk us through that.
Well, what about it?
I mean, how you were saying that you were taking some medication that wasn't necessarily prescribed. Like, so someone else that's in a similar position, like, how would you guide them through it? What was your light or something to go through it like that?
That's the thing, is that some people haven't discovered a certain aspect of their character that will make them like be fulfilled. So some people are like in a job or this or that where they feel underprivileged, or they feel like not themselves, and that kind of goes back to my first EP called Imposter, because that's how I felt. Is like, I got promoted at my job, but that wasn't what I wanted. You know what I mean? I was like, whether I get the money or not, I will be sad because I feel like I'm selling myself.
Right.
And in regards to like Nobody Noticed, it's kind of, I was doing things for other people, and that is why I wasn't happy. So once you start like living life on your own terms, that's when you'll be happy. And once you realize what you have unlimited passion for, that's when you will, consistently be happy. And that's when you can help people too. Like they talk about relationships where you need to love yourself before you can love somebody else.
Right.
And I firmly believe in that.
For sure.
Because if I'm not good, then we're not good.
you can't pour out of an empty cup, right?
That's facts.
That's what they say. They say. So what's next for Washington?
So I'm going on a creative retreat. My sister's tagging along with me.
Okay.
My dad, I'm going to be gone for like a week, and I just plan on locking in, recording as much music as possible. I released 15 tracks last year, but I plan on doubling that.
Oh, man.
So
you're putting it out
EP
here.
in October. Yeah, speak into existence, right? Yeah, just consistency. Enjoying it. I don't necessarily have many distractions. I'm also still full-time employed. Like, people act like they don't have enough time, but if they really want something, they'll make time.
They'll make time for it.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you balance that? Music, working?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I used to keep a spreadsheet. Yeah. I still do, but I'm trying to get back into a few things, because there's a balance between living in the spreadsheet and living life while referring to the spreadsheet, and there's a bit of a definitive difference there. But everybody says, spend 10,000 hours doing something and you'll become a master, right? So I dumbed that down. I was like, if Washington is a business entity and I make a spreadsheet, and how much time am I actually putting into music, how much time am I actually doing like recreational activities or working or sleeping, because you need to cut a few hours or minutes down from some other thing so you can do what you want to do. So that's the way I keep myself consistent is like I keep a spreadsheet. I meditate. I try to maintain my headspace, not get emotionally hijacked, and just try to keep a creative flow always going. Always, always looking at things. And that doesn't mean that like I don't watch a movie here and there because I might get inspired.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
so you meditate.
I do meditate. Yes.
How did that come about? When did you start meditating?
I started meditating and I was doing it like daily for a while, and then I when I wrote like my book, it's about like spiritual awareness or whatever. I was able to like see things and like slow down time, and it's just like that's a whole nother avenue to go down. Meditating.
I'm remembering the book
yeah.
now. I'm remembering the book.
Yes.
That was forever ago. Oh my god, it feels like
that's
it feels
the
like
beginning of the entrepreneurial experience.
Okay, so you started meditating. Okay, what
Yeah.
led you to meditate to begin with? Was it that specific time in your life, or was it something else?
I've watched many people talk about how meditation, and I think being mindful of how you think, because sometimes my opinion may not be right, and music is subjective, and I feel like everything is subjective. So I feel like meditation allows me to control my mindset and my emotions and not get like hijacked or think that things are sadder than they are, or harder than they are. I don't know. It allows me to have a level head.
It lets you build up on that emotion. Do
Yeah.
they call it emotional IQ or something like that?
Emotional
Yeah,
intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
How important is that as an artist? Because they
Huge.
say it's very important as an average Joe, but also
Yeah.
how important is it as an artist?
I think it's huge. I mean, maybe at some point I would be too emotionally intelligent to come up with content, but I don't think that is a feasible like problem. I think that it is big as an artist because you need to compartmentalize an emotion. That's what music is to me. So yeah, I think it's hugely important.
Okay, can we jump into the book a little bit? I want to know
We
a little
can,
bit
we
about
can,
it.
yeah.
All right. So
TBT.
with Washington, anything else in particular you want to touch on, or anything of the sort?
No, I'm currently working on another like summer EP, and then after that, I'm working on like a Halloween trap type of.
Okay.
It's gonna be called "The Cabin in the Woods," and the imagery and honestly, Rain Check is kind of a lead single because the subject matter is a breakup. It's kind of like 808s and heartbreak, but a bit darker.
Oh,
if you
snap.
can imagine that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So trap beats and breakups.
So it's gonna be a very productive year here for Washington
for sure.
next year, man.
Going
2023. I'm super excited to see this happen to you.
sure.
So let's talk about this book. What is the book called?
The book was called "I Kinda See Dead People."
All right. So please, you really
Wild title.
The amount of like different,
Yeah.
like wow. How does that book happen?
So the book, we did have a psychic visit my household who confirmed. He confirmed like my suspicion that I have like this awareness, which I agree with. However, based on him kind of validating that for me, I started meditating more frequently, and once I was meditating daily for like 2 to 3 months, I started to notice changes in things. I would perceive things. I would pick up on things before they happened. I do dream things, and sometimes they do occur. And I've seen ghosts. I mean, I don't know if everybody believes in all those things.
I think I've had a few ghost encounters myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's definitely something.
For sure. I mean, I grew up in Ecuador, and we had like this big house, and the house was supposedly built on what used to be a long time ago a cemetery. So you can just imagine what comes with that, right?
Spiritual grounds.
So tell us about the book. So you're writing the book. What are you trying to say in the book? What was the plot of the book? What was it all about?
The book was just a memoir of coming to terms with certain things because the subject is kind of like scary. It's creepy. People don't want to read about other people experiencing paranormal things. And I kind of wrote it in a tone that was lighthearted. I mean, it's called like I Kind of See Dead People because I don't understand my abilities fully. So it wasn't like I see dead people. It was like I kind of see dead people.
Yeah.
It was like a bit of more of like a lighthearted, jokey tone.
Yeah.
Do you have a question? Oh, yeah.
So I'm sorry, real quick. I feel bad,
Got some
and I
audience
apologize for
members.
my manners here. So Raven's your sister, right?
Yes.
So Raven Hoffman.
she's not.
Okay, she's not. Okay, depends on the day. Depends on the day, right? So Raven is in background. Raven, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
So nice seeing you after so many years. We also have Jack. Jack is always here, true team
Live
player.
studio audience.
So, yeah. So Raven, you wanted to say something.
Yes.
I was there for the story about the fart machine, and I want you to tell that story.
Okay.
weed.
I'm sorry. What machine?
There was this fart machine.
Fart machine.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you elaborate what you remember about it? Because I don't remember what I wrote about in it, but I know it was there.
It was a dark, stormy night.
Yes.
And there was a fart machine going off in our house.
Yes.
No one knew where.
Oh, yes. All right, I can jump off of that.
Fart machine. Wow.
Yes. So there was this fart machine, right? And it was one of the like ghostly paranormal experiences in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it continued to go off, right? It just came out of nowhere. No one could find where it was.
We found
And it was like right next to it was under my pillow or next to my bed.
the remote. You found it. No one had touched it. So we
Yeah.
knew where the remote was, but not the machine itself. And then we
That's
searched
the
our
thing.
house.
Oh, yes. And it had no batteries and was going off. The fart machine was going off next to my bed and it had no batteries in it. And my dad had to slam it with a sledgehammer
What?
in the backyard. Yeah, it was crazy.
How does
It's in the
that
book.
happen? How
That's
does
what
that
I'm
happen?
saying. There's something like
Do you have other experiences like that you want
I've
to share?
woken up. I've had the sleep paralysis stuff. I mean, it's horrible.
I always hear about it, but I mean, I could never like. Can you walk us through what it's like with sleep paralysis?
You've never had it?
I've never had
Oh,
it.
you lucky. how about you, Raven?
I've
Have you
heard.
had it,
I've
Jack?
heard of it. It sounds terrifying.
Yeah, you try to talk and stuff, like your body's frozen, and usually you have a distortion of what you're seeing. Like I'll look at this wall, and then it will turn into like a figure coming out of the wall, coming towards me. Like you'll see things, but not even necessarily like sleep paralysis. I've had that on a few occasions, but that's when I'm in my most meditative state, and that's why I wrote the book, like to assist people who maybe don't understand what they're going through.
Now, is the book still something we can get today?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's
Where
free
can we
on
find it?
like iBooks or whatever, but there's Kindle for 99 cents. The goal was not to make money. The goal was to just put it out there, prove to myself I could teach myself how to write a book and like do things like that. And again, like the why always needs to be bigger than yourself to pursue some of these things. And when it came out in 2017, it actually was like it was like the top 10 best-selling adult and teen memoirs
Really?
on Amazon. Yeah, I have a
Wow.
screenshot and everything.
Hell
It's top
yeah,
3.
man! That's awesome. Congratulations on
Pretty
that.
cool.
So
Not life-changing money, but again, it was 99 cents. So, I just had to prove to myself a few
right,
things.
right. That's awesome. That's awesome. We went from let's see, high school, college,
Yes.
baby product
Baby
company,
products, ghosts.
a ghost, and the music,
Music, yes.
industry. Wow. So,
That's wild. That's diverse.
well, can we talk a little bit about what it's like living in New York?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
New York
what do you
is,
love about it? What do you
adjustment.
hate it? What's it like?
Well, how do you like living in New York, actually, if I spin that
So
back?
for those that don't know, before I lived in Delaware. I lived in New York for maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I was very young, so I was just a small kid in a big city, kind of thing like that. So to me, it was very exciting. Very
Yeah.
cool. A lot of people to talk to, and such a diverse population.
Yeah,
So
for
you
sure.
meet people of all backgrounds. But now when I go back and visit New York because my mother lives there, I'm just there for a weekend. It gets too crazy for me.
You don't enjoy the weekend?
I'm sorry?
You don't enjoy the weekend?
I don't enjoy the weekend?
Yeah. Do you not? You say you're there just for a weekend. You don't enjoy that weekend that you're
No,
there
I do.
usually?
I do. Well, it's that's why I don't think I could stay there for longer than
Yeah.
that period of time,
For
Like
sure.
I enjoy there, see my mother, have some dinner. The one thing I will say is I love the different kinds of food that are available.
I know.
I'm a big foodie guy.
I know.
So the diverse selection of food that you have is amazing. But things like, from a realistic standpoint, it's very expensive to live in New York.
Yeah, for sure.
I always think that I like to think of Delaware like a headquarters kind of thing. Because if I need to go to New York, I'm a 2.5 hour car ride. If I need to go to Washington, same thing. If I need to go to Florida, I'm a 2.5 hour flight away. So I think it's a great spot to be. The cost of living is a lot lower here in Delaware. Whereas, New York, I feel like, you should really be making a certain amount to feasibly live there and not have to think twice or
Yeah.
anything. But tell me about that.
I mean, going from Delaware to New York is definitely like a bit of a culture shock situation. There's very differing ethnicities of people depending on where you are in
Yeah.
New York, which
Yeah.
is wild. I didn't realize there's a certain interpretation of where you are in Queens versus where I am now in Washington Heights versus when I lived in Brooklyn for a period of time. So I've jumped around a little bit, but New York, nobody cares about anybody in New
That
York.
is true.
Which
That is true.
I don't necessarily enjoy. I do like smaller town like Delaware, like having more organic, genuine friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in New York is like just your coworkers. It's not really. It's not really like I can meet people on the street and be like, okay, let's hang out every day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Everybody's in their own. It's a good place to build to like get a jump starting career. Yeah,
it's a good place to grind, but other than that,
everybody has their own agenda. You know.
Yeah.
You know, they're putting up themselves first, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But like you said, it's harder to have those genuine relationships as you can in a smaller, intimate town where every other person knows each other.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like how I imagine LA to be. I mean, I don't know how living in LA would be, but it's like everybody on the train is just glued to their phone, get off, they're in a rush. It's cold, from October through June, it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then from June to like August, it's super hot. Like there's no in between in New York, and that's another thing I don't enjoy. I was like, damn, if I just work from home, I would be great.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And pick and choose when I see these people.
For sure. Do you see yourself living in New York 10 years from now?
I think in my 20s, I think New York is the place to be.
Okay.
That's just my own mindset. Like music industry wise, like I can't live with the regret that like maybe I'll live in some flyover state and like not really pursue the artistry, because I know the entertainment industry is Atlanta, New York, or LA essentially in the on the West Coast.
Okay.
That's my mindset. I mean, I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with that.
Anything? If you would you like Jack? So Jack, do you think that you would stay here in Delaware forever, or if there was anywhere else you could go?
I mean, I hear. Well, let me get this. I hear all the time people say that like people who are born in Delaware never leave. Like it's a phenomenon. I don't know why.
People that are born in Delaware never leave.
It's a big jump. Some people.
Desire to go anywhere. I'd probably just stay in Delaware, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
You like Delaware? Yeah.
Raven, what about you? What do you think?
goals specifically wouldn't be helped by moving.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, for sure.
I cannot get out of Delaware fast enough. Oh my God.
Why is that?
But yeah, why is that?
Just the people, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
It's not organic, and when it is, it's competition. It's
Oof.
like I don't find
Here in Delaware?
Yeah, I was about to say what?
Yeah.
I mean, girls is different. I think though, too.
Well,
I think it's a little different.
I've got 3 friends in Delaware that I would like ride or die for, but everyone else is across the country. Like North Carolina is where I moved to, and like the people there, oh my God.
North Carolina.
Wholesome, they are kind, they are selfless, and it's just completely different moral values. But like I imagine New York is the place to be for what you're trying to do. But
Exactly.
if you want to be inspired and get out of your comfort zone, you'd have to go on like a little retreat and like see what life is like.
Everything in moderation, though. I think you need time in New York. I need time out of New York. That's for sure. And I do want to travel a lot more.
Okay.
Like international travel.
Where's any top 3 places you can think of?
I mean, on the bucket list, I do want to go to the 7 wonders of the world. That's just a thing that I want to do. Like Egypt and all that.
If you could grab a flight right now, where's the first place you're going? Wherever you want.
Greece or I mean, honestly, I kind of want to go to Miami like right now.
Okay.
It's too cold out here. I want to go somewhere super warm. I want to go on like a boat, shoot music video. I don't know. Just enjoy life.
Have you been to Miami?
I've been to like Tampa, Orlando, Panama City. Like I've been all over Florida, but not Miami.
Dude, I haven't been to Miami.
I was like, bruh, I need to go.
I just went to Tampa for my first time recently. Oh my jeez, dude. When you go to Tampa and you're just with the boys, man.
I know.
It's
different.
It's something.
That's the type of energy I need.
You thought that you heard the saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
It's what happens in Tampa,
dude. I've been to Vegas. Oh my jeez, brother. Miami, man, we gotta do it sometime.
I mean, I'm down. I'm down for it.
I always hear, and all the rappers always talk about Miami, South Beach, and all this stuff.
DJ
like
Khaled got the jet ski out there.
Hell yeah!
Rick Ross and
hopefully we don't get lost like him in the middle of the night.
That's what I'm saying. You pull up on the dock. Pull up on me at the dock, bro.
So why Greece?
It just looks beautiful. I want to be in that water. I like the architecture. I don't know. I really like Greece.
I hear Greece.
I like Greek mythology too.
Okay, there you go. I hear
still in polytheism out there.
Okay, well, isn't that okay? So recently I've been getting into like athletic events and stuff like that,
Yeah.
running, because that's where marathon came about, and
I
in
saw that
Greece,
Spartan
right?
race.
Right. Yeah. So like apparently, because is marathon a place in Greece? Is that what it is?
It is, yes.
And that's how marathons literally came about.
yes,
Like that's
someone
crazy.
the messenger used to run to somewhere in
Yeah.
Greece. It was called a marathon,
And it actually
It
became a
became a
thing.
marathon,
It became a
yes.
thing. So that's so cool.
It
But
is dope.
even that, I hear that Greece, specifically
Mm-hmm.
Mykonos, is a great party spot. It's a great party spot. So
Is it affordable?
huh?
Is it affordable?
Well, that's
No, 'cause-
always the question.
Yeah, international places like they do not cost an arm and a leg.
Mhm.
Like most of these places are like a whole vibe, and they're not expensive.
Yeah. I'm sorry, real quick, Jack. The doorbell just went off. You mind getting it real quick? Yeah, that was the doorbell. That was the oven.
Intermission.
Yeah, so we had people coming in and out. So
It's cool.
so Greece, dude, that's a bucket place. So I know these agencies. What they do is they book you for like we could do a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could do like a whole go to all these different countries and stuff like that. Is that something you would be open to do?
Like a road trip
Like
situation.
like a road trip. They take it from one place to another and stuff like that.
I'll be down.
Like a Europe trip, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be down. I mean, I do have a job that isn't work from home
Yeah,
yet. But
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I would definitely be down for something like that.
Dude, for
That
sure.
thing is like life is too short, and I realized that like literally at my job, like I was telling Raven, is there was this guy who was literally 2 days ago. He was working talking about visiting Puerto Rico, blah blah blah. He just faints in the middle of his shift, and literally I'm getting a call like, you gotta get EMS. I think he's going, like blah blah blah, and he literally, I found out, like didn't make it. I'm just like, I can't live with something like that. That's
Yeah.
why I gotta pursue everything I want now. I gotta keep just keep grinding, travel.
Dude, for sure. I'm sorry. Hi. Hi, dude.
Welcome,
Sorry I couldn't
friends.
get you because we're probably recording, so I probably missed your text. Hi, how are you? This is my buddy Washington, Skylar,
what's up?
and this is his
Hey.
sister Raven.
Yes.
Would you guys make it out okay out there? Okay, perfect. All right, I'm super happy to see you. So that's Stu. He's gonna be on afterwards, so
Fire.
we could all chat up afterwards. We were just talking about traveling. We were just talking
Yes.
about traveling. He was telling me about Miami. You know, he wants to be in Miami right now.
And how
So
I've never gone and how I'm
I think
salty.
Stu was recently in Miami. Maybe we could just talk about it a little bit, whatever
Damn.
the case. But dude, Greece,
Nice
I would
to
love
meet
to join you in Greece if you're willing to have me
Yeah.
on a trip there. So that's
Yeah.
Miami. Sign me up. Probably have to sign a little bit of NDAs.
Damn.
You
What
know?
happens in Miami stays in Miami.
It really does, man.
That's wild.
But I'm super excited to experience something like that with more people, because
For sure.
the more the merrier, kind of thing like
For
that,
sure,
right?
for
Because if
sure.
it's just by yourself, you know, who are you gonna look back and tell, right? So it's not
Yeah.
as fun. It's not as fun. So, Mr.
sure.
Washington,
Yes, sir.
anything else you'd like to touch on?
What else is there? Any-
We've covered a
any
lot. I feel
Q&A?
like.
Yeah, we just
We
bounced
feel a
around
lot.
a little bit.
So, Jack, after everything you've heard now from Washington, anything in particular that stood out to you that you want to touch on, comment on, or anything of the sort?
Because I want to do music too, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know anything about like rap or hip hop or anything.
Mhm.
Like, I play guitar, and I like older rock stuff. So I guess like in general, just as far as like making your own music,
Yeah.
like do you make your own beats, or do you like have like a program that you use to set that up, or do you have somebody else like to help you with that?
Yeah, I mean, early on, like it was Dre. He would just produce all my content.
So sorry, real quick. Jack was essentially
Yeah.
asking, you know,
True.
to use a program. Like, what resources do you actually use
For
to help you produce
production.
your music?
So early on, it was just Dre was my one producer, and then I kind of expanded as you create like more content, become an entity, and then you get on these people's beat pages, and they just send you 10 beats via your email, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay. I mean, I stumble upon some, but I don't. That's not necessarily my specialty. It's kind of just like vocals, like coming up with. If I feel that the instrumental matches a mood, that's what I just go with.
Well, I think this is so interesting because we hung out with Dre so many times at this point, and that's something we never knew.
And we talked about like how we wrestled and stuff, and we have all these other commonalities we never talk about.
I would have never expected that.
That's
And
the
here we
thing,
go.
yeah.
That's how Delaware
'Cause-
works, really.
Because that's the thing is like Dre makes so much music, but like I said, it's like unless you put yourself like out there as like I make music, then
Yeah.
nobody knows you make music.
That is
which
very
is what's
true.
odd is like same thing with business entity. You probably have many business entities, but I don't know all of them.
Right.
unless you tell me.
Right, exactly. There's always like behind the
Right?
scenes stuff, and there's what you put out in the
Yeah.
public kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, we should definitely get in touch with Dre and talk about that a little bit more, because apparently he's the go-to for the guy. Maybe he'll bring out a little bit in you that you didn't know you had. Who knows?
Yeah, there's some rock songs. I mean, do you like Playboy Cardi?
I've heard of it.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I was like, he's like rock, rap, trap.
I remember saw him at UD a couple years ago.
That was before his pivot to like rock.
Yeah,
He did,
yeah,
like, rock stuff
that
now.
was quite the performance. Raven, anything you want to touch on or anything in particular that you'd like us to go into, or any questions or anything?
Like proudest accomplishment or proudest moment in your life? Because going through all the difficulties you had through New York and COVID and everything going on, like, what's the one moment where you're like, I can do this, like, I've got it.
So Raven
Ooh, I
asks.
might need more time.
Raven asks, what has been your proudest moment despite all of the challenges that you have overcome up to date now?
It's not necessarily my proudest at the time, but I was going through a breakup in New York. I'd moved out to New York. I, essentially had a what's it called when you get kicked out of an apartment?
Eviction.
Yeah, I essentially had an eviction. It was like, get all your shit out, adios. And I had my friend Javon come over, and I shot the cover art, which would become the Imposter cover art.
Oh, wow.
He took those photos. I gave it to somebody. I put that out, and I never really had a body of work out at this time. Like, I just put out singles. I didn't have a consistent content coming out, and I put out my first like mixtape, so to speak, and it was well received. It has like 10,000 plays, and I was like, I was very proud of that moment, because in my personal life, I didn't know what was next. And here is somebody who is here supporting me and taking me under their wing, and I was still doing what I loved. So
Washington, your ability to stay resilient and be clear-minded and true to yourself and honest to yourself, and at the same time, still being able to stick to it, man, it's completely commendable, man. So. Thank you so much for being here, Washington. Thank you so much. Lastly, before we go, give us the plug. Where can we find you? Where can we listen to you? Instagram, Spotify. Give us everything.
It's all Washington. Just type in WA $HINGTON.
Okay.
You can see it on Spotify, Apple Music, pretty much anywhere. Instagram is Scour the Hoff, because at some point I will pivot towards Washington, but the dude who owns the account of Washington told me it's gonna be $25,000. I did not want to pay that just for an Instagram handle. So
start a GoFundMe.
So what's up? Yeah, I'd be like, help me buy this Instagram handle. No, I mean, but
Hey.
Yeah, Washington everywhere. Just listen, and I think anyone can relate to most of my songs. They're not all rap. Some of them are pop. Some of them are trap. Some of them are emotional. Some of them are fuckboy music.
Hell yeah!
But
you gotta have a little bit of that.
You gotta enjoy it. Definitely check out Rain Check for sure.
All right,
Rain Check is fire.
Check out Rain Check, ladies and gentlemen. Washington, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here, buddy. So good seeing you. I will be seeing you around. I can't wait to kick it with you. All right, thank you so much. Woo! And ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed this episode of the EP podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment and share with all your friends.
American Idol.
Let's keep this thing going. We enjoy doing it. It's a blast. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next one.